Every Monday we get you motivated, pumped up and levitated, high of life elated. Top is where we located. Yeah, we here to grow, here to reach our goals on Felicia Inspires Radio Show. You are now listening to the Felicia Inspires Radio Show, airing every Monday at 9:30 a.m. Tune in and set the tone for your day.
Hello, everybody. This is Miss Felicia Inspire here today with another episode on the Felicia Inspire Show. And today we have Miss Doris Amsterdam, and she is going to be our guest on the panel. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear all about what she has to tell us on our topic today. We're going to be covering narcissism. We're going to be talking about going through divorce and domestic violence as well. So make sure that you tune in. If you want to listen, we will be airing every Monday at 9:30 a.m. and you can find us on the iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify. So make sure that you follow us and go to our social media accounts and follow us there as well. So now we're going to go ahead and dive in. Miss Doris, could you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
Hello. My name is Doris Amsterdam, and I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey. I currently reside in South Carolina. I'm a registered nurse. I have 3 little boys, 5, 9, and 13, who I love dearly, that I just won back custody of. And I'm just on a healing journey right now, currently going through a divorce.
Oh, I love it. And now, could you give us a little background? Because I know you're going to be on the Felicia Inspired Show, and her episode will be airing, you guys. So make sure that you go and watch it so that you can get a deep dive into her personal life story and the things that she has overcome in dealing with her situation. And even in her story, she did go through domestic violence. But could you give us a little background about getting into going through criminal domestic violence? Like, how was that whole entire experience? How did it make you feel, and what did you do, and how could you be so resilient about going through it?
Well, going through it, it's a lot of dynamics, because I went through it for years, like years upon years. We've been together since 2009, and I've been experiencing abuse with my husband from 2010 all the way up into this year of 2024, before we separated. So there's a lot of dynamics in between. I took him back a bunch of times. I was ridiculed. I was called stupid. People was looking at me funny, trying to figure out why do I keep taking him back. But people don't understand, like, when you get married to stay married. You don't get married to get a divorce, and you don't just run and get a divorce every time something bad happens. Mm-hmm. So I really I love my husband. And even when I fell out of love with him, I still wanted to work it out with him. Mm-hmm. And even though he was hurting me, I still wanted to work it out with him. So I would say the thing that kept me fighting and moving forward is definitely my kids. And I have a lot to give as well. I have a lot to offer people. I love helping people, and I have a life outside of my marriage. So
correct. Mm-hmm. And even so I know you say you took your husband back a lot of times, and we all go through that. We'll say, "Oh, I'm done with you," then we go back, and then I think we all fight with judgment. We don't want other people to know what's going on in our household, and even going through that, within you, what made you find that forgiveness? Because everybody are not able to forgive anybody, especially when you're on that scale of things. It's like, even with me, I used to struggle with forgiveness and hold grudges, but you were able to forgive and even try to work it out. What within you helped you to be that way?
I don't know. I think it's just in my nature. To be honest with you, it's just the type of person I am, because it's not only with my husband. I've forgiven others who wronged me. I think it's just who I am as a person. And like I said, I love my husband. We got pregnant very early on right after we got together, probably 10 months after we were together. We weren't even together for a year before we got pregnant with our first child. So, I definitely knew that I wanted to be with the person I got pregnant by for the rest of my life. So that was another, reason why I chose to fight so hard. I just wanted to be a family.
Okay, and I hear a lot of people say, I wish what I knew now, I wish I knew back then. In your opinion, give us one thing that you would say, I wish I knew now that I did back then, that you could do it all over again. What would that be?
Oh gosh, it's a lot. It's a lot. But let me tell you, now I love my kids dearly, and I hate, like, when they come in my mind, I even just be like, you know what, whatever. Like, I don't want to say that because I can't imagine my life without my kids. But in the same token, I say, if I knew how he was, period, I wouldn't have stayed with him. That's number one. If I knew the signs and the whole gist of it, like, I wouldn't have had to go through. I wouldn't have went through all of this. That the fact that I wasn't educated on narcissists and narcissism and narcissism abuse, it kept me in turmoil with my marriage, and even before we got married.
And I know, depression is a big thing now, and a lot of us women are victims of depression, and some don't even know that they are going through depression. Did you experience any depression while you were in your marriage?
Yes, ma'am. I experienced a lot of depression. I even talked to my husband on several occasions about it. I even went through postpartum depression with 2 of my pregnancies, suicidal with 2 of my pregnancies. Really, well, I was suicidal with one of my very first pregnancy because he took me through a lot. And I kind of I got suicidal, and I had postpartum depression with my third son as well. Depression, it was a big factor. And I realized that when I'm talking about him, like, it just feels like I'm pounding him, and it's like everything is his fault. I'm not perfect, I'm not perfect.
Right, most definitely.
And I'm sure I did things to hurt his feelings, and I said a lot of mean things, and probably made him mad on several occasions. And I wasn't the best wife. I didn't always do things the way he wanted it, but I was there. I was willing to do the best that I can. I wasn't there to abuse him and to neglect him, and to force him into depression and make him feel unwanted and unworthy. So that's the difference. So when I'm talking about him, I don't want people to just feel like, oh, everything sounds like it's his fault, And I did love him. I really did. And I do forgive him. Regardless of how he feel, I do forgive him. But I am going to tell my story, and he doesn't like that.
Right. And I can sense that love, even though when you're not with a person, that doesn't say, you don't love them, and you don't have to be in love with a person to love them. But I still feel, I can sense, you still empathize, with him. And what I respect the most is your self-accountability. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, when they're telling stories about people, it's always their side. You know what I'm saying? You don't never hear the other side of the story, because that other person ain't here to defend. So it's like, what I respect you, on another level of you just, saying like, hey, listen, I wasn't the best wife either. You know what I'm saying? So I really respect that, because a lot of people are not going to admit that, especially when you've gone through something with a person. The last thing you're trying to do is look like the bad guy. So it's like, having that self-accountability, that all starts your healing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's really, really brave on your behalf. So in your opinion, do you think that it's something that you could have done that could have changed the outcome?
Well, I used to think that way. I used to blame myself a lot for a lot of things. Like, maybe if I didn't say it that way. Well, maybe if I would have moved faster. Well, he told me he didn't like it like that, so I should have just listened. maybe if I'd have got up on time, maybe if I wouldn't have took that extra job. Like it was always, I used to always blame myself. And it took me years. First of all, it took me to even find out that I was dealing with a narcissist and I was married to a narcissist before I could even start to reflect on other things. Because like that was a whole shock when I realized like I'm with a narcissist. And then you start to research it, and then you start to compare, like he does that, he does that, he does that.
But even in that statement itself, in that question, there's a lot of things that we, they say shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But we can never predict or change our own destiny and where we are supposed to be in life, because we go through things to teach lessons, and the things that come out of it, y'all had 3 beautiful kids. Absolutely. And it's like, there are some good, and finding that good within the situation is always, a bonus. But I feel like, you don't, and like you said, you don't ever look to go through a divorce. You marry a person to be with them forever. When you think about forever, what really drew the line for you to say, you know what, this is really, I'm coming to the realization that this is about to be the end of our forever?
I fought with that for the past 4 years, I want to say. Since around about 2020, I would say that's when I started fighting with the fact that we're not going to last, and he kept saying that I was being negative. He used to call me negative all the time. And I started to realize like he's just not changing, no matter how many times I've cried to him, no matter how many times I've talked about counseling, no matter how many times we prayed together, because I used to always ask him to pray with me. We used to get down on our knees and pray. We used to read the Bible together. And he wasn't changing, or he'll change for like a week or two, and then he'll go back to his old ways. Or he'll say he's not going to do something, he's not going to hurt me in this way no more, and then he do it again as soon as he get mad. And this was a repeated cycle. And that's when it hit me a few years ago that we're not going to last. Like and I kept praying on it, and it just kept getting worse, and I couldn't understand why. And it took me a while to accept it. It really took me to lose my children to accept it. And that's the truth.
Yeah, and it does. And I hate to, when you love a person, love runs so deep. And I hear people say, crazy in love. People can actually be crazy in love. And it's one of those things that it's like, it almost makes you choose. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do I want my freedom or do I not? Or is this going to be one of the things that change my destiny, or is this going to be something? Because when you're dealing with domestic violence, somebody can wound up in a body bag, or somebody can wound up behind bars. Mm-hmm. And it's like the fear, you don't know at any given second, because I've been through it before, so I could definitely relate. And having that fear within you, you don't know what this person is capable of doing. And I think, in speaking from experience, I will always say, if you love me, how could you even build up your strength, as a man, to even hit me, to put your hands on me in that way, and can turn around and act like nothing ever happened? Mm-hmm. I could never understand that.
And that in itself, it messes with you cognitively. Mm-hmm. Like you can't, because you're back and forth, and that's what gives you cognitive dissonance as well, because you're trying to figure out, is this person good or are they bad? Like, because they could be so sweet to you one minute, and they could just be telling how much they love you, how much they're in love with you, and then they turn around and they do something horrible to you, like that an enemy would do to you, and you're constantly questioning yourself, and it really it could put a person in a bad space. I know it had me like on 100 all the time. My mind was always racing, and it caused me great distress. It really did.
Yeah, and I think, like, even with me, I always, it's like, it's easy for somebody to say, girl, leave him alone, or, why you just won't leave? But I always tell people, only you know when it's time to leave. Only you know when you've had enough. And it's always easier said than done to leave somebody, but also taking your own advice as well. And it's like, we can't help who we love. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when you have that self-discovery and you have that connection and you realize that, I'm gonna choose me. You have, learning how to choose you. I think that really, really helps. And we as women, we take so much. And listen, I have to brag on us because we're able to go through so much and it don't even break us. But we're always able to overcome the things that we go through and be able to live to tell the testimony. And so I commend you. I commend you on some of the things. That's why I can't wait for people to even watch your episode because, baby, you've gone through it. And I know that's not that was just a little snippet of the things that you've gone through. And I know that you're writing a book and I can't wait for it to release. Could you tell us about it?
Yes. Well, my book is called The Illusions of Love with the Narcissist. The book release date is March 17, 2025. The book is basically about my marriage and from the beginning, how me and my husband met, all the way up until this year. So it's a lot. It's a lot in there. It's a lot of good times, but it's a whole lot of bad times. And it just it's a book about my marriage, but I'm hoping that when people read it, especially battered women and abused women and women who are with narcissists or, in any type of narcissistic relationship, whether it's with their parents, their boyfriend, their husband, wife, whoever, I'm hoping that they can read it and get something out of it to say, some type of encouragement to say, I'm not going to deal with this anymore, or, to become awake or become woke
right
of the situation they're in and who they're dealing with. Because it took me years to realize that I was with a narcissist.
And at what moment did you decide that I'm gonna write a book? Because a lot of people kind of hide behind different things. They're like, I don't want nobody in my business, but to actually be open with the world, what came to you? What came to your mind and say, you know what, I'm just gonna write a book and share my story?
So when I thought I was leaving my husband for good back in 2022 is when I started journaling, and I started writing it, and then I stopped. I was just like, you know what, I don't have time for this. I had a lot going on, and me and my husband got back together. And I put it on the back burner. And then we got into it again, like something really bad happened between us last year. I don't want to talk too much about it because, your show is coming on. And also it's a book. So, but something really bad happened last year. And then I started up again. And then I let it go because I ended up dropping a divorce. I filed for divorce three times.
Wow.
And so this year, once I lost my children, that was it. I was like, I'm doing it. And that's how it came about. And then I went full force with it, and it's coming out on March 17th.
That's good. And I'm so proud of you for even doing that, because writing a book is not easy. And being open is definitely not for the weak, because you have to go through a period of transparency. You have to go through a period of self-accountability. And then, looking at yourself now, how have you overcome all of that? Because, we all have to grow up, and some things make you grow up overnight. And, growing up don't have a time frame. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how between then and now, what do you see has changed within you from then to now?
I see a big growth. I was very immature. I thought I was grown, and I was mature when we first got together. But looking back from then to now, I've definitely grown, and I've changed a lot. I've learned how to take accountability, which is a major a major thing that you just have to do. If you want to be a good person in general, you cannot just blame the other person. Everybody has some fault in something. So just learning how to take accountability, learning how to take other, another person's feelings into consideration, learning how to step back when it's not my moment for something. These are the things that you have to learn as you're growing. Responsibility, I've gained a ton of responsibility over the years. Just a lot of different ways I changed for the better.
Okay, and I think in even doing so, I think that we all have to set boundaries, set standards, and a lot of people don't do that. We take, I take so much, and I take this, and I take that, but where's the cap? You have to put a cap on what you can tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate, and now looking forward, because I know you're going to date in the future. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to be alone. And what type of standards and boundaries have you even sat down and thought about, what for future dating, and I know you're going to enjoy life for a little while, just enjoy the single life, because it is what it is, because you just got to enjoy it for a little bit.
Yeah,
But because when I was single, I was like, what, after a while, I'm like, I want a man, I want to meet my better half. And I said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write out all the attributes, everything that I want him to be. And I think when I did that, it really set me up to what I expect in a man, what I want in a man, what's to be, where do I want this man to meet me at? Because you're going to meet a person where they meet you at. So it's like, I really sat down and I wrote down in detail, fine detail, everything I wanted in a man. Because some people might say, I want a man. But what kind of man you want? You can go get a man from anywhere.
Okay.
But what kind of man do you want? And even doing so, when we, wanting someone, do we match that energy? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for your future dating, what type of standards and boundaries would you say is going to meet Doris's standards?
Well, girl, you said a mouthful when you said boundaries, because that is one thing that I did not have. That is one thing that I did not have during my marriage. And once we separated for good in June, that was a main word to me in my brain. Boundaries. And I mean, that word comes to me with everybody now. Like, not just, marriage or dating or anything. I want boundaries. You gotta respect my boundaries, because I was always the type of person that, I was kind of a yes person, and, always trying to bend over for everybody. You can't do that. That's how you get taken advantage of. So I learned that I did not have boundaries with my husband. I just kept taking. Now I have standards. I have boundaries. First of all, once I start dating, we have to be on the same level. When I'm on the same level, I mean, you can't, how it started out with my husband, it can't be like that. Like, you have to making a certain amount of money. You gotta have good credit. You can't have a 1,000 baby mothers running around the place. Religion, that would definitely come into play. You gotta have some type of care for yourself, health wise, and just a good person in general. Like, it's certain things that I want, and I know you're not gonna get everything, that you want from somebody. And it just depends. When I meet that person, I'll know what I'm willing to deal with and what I'm not willing to deal with. But I'm definitely going to have boundaries. Certain things I'm just not going to stand for.
Yes. And you have to be that way, because, like, we're in a different day and time. And I think that time has changed to a point where I feel like women have switched roles with the men.
Mm-hmm.
And I really stand on that because like the men nowadays, they are nothing like what it used to be. Because I remember when it used to be the women can stay at home and the man take care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you just stay at home, be that perfect wife. But it's like now we're the ones out here playing the role of the man.
And getting the bag.
Yes, we
Mm-hmm.
are. And I gotta take my hat off to the women these days. Like they're out here bossed up. And I respect it. You know what I'm saying? And what wisdom, what if you had one key piece that sticks with you from learning everything that you went through, what wisdom have you gained that came from your journey?
Be truthful. Be true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
True to yourself. It's a lot of times, a lot of different situations where I knew something wasn't right, and I just that intuition, and just talking myself out of it or talking myself down from something. Like if you know something to be true, like just be true to yourself, like and trust God. That's the main thing. Like you have to trust God. You have to have faith, even if it was like we want to be pacified all the time, and we got to learn how to go through stuff. And uncomfortable, and if being true to yourself cause you to be uncomfortable for a while, then go through it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's tough love. Sometimes you got to spank your own, you got to slap your own wrist sometimes because it's like, girl, what? It's like you have to slap your own self on the wrist sometimes because it's like sometimes we make some crazy decisions and we take some stuff that we never thought we would, and it's like when you love somebody, you don't know how much you'll put up with. And I over the years, I've gained another level of respect for people who go through things as such, especially domestic violence and things like that, because it's like, when you love somebody, you love somebody, and I think that it's always, how grandma used to say, I got my favorite, and it's like we have a little vulnerability within us that, it's something within a person that really can just be like, it just makes me weak.
Yes.
It just makes me weak.
Yes.
And I think that it's overcoming that. And I know that when you was with him, what was it about him that just made you weak?
We just had this thing between us, like since we met. When we first met, like we moved in together like a month after we met, and we've been together like until this year. Like we just had this thing, like we had fun together. No matter what we did, we had fun. We traveled a lot together, out of the country, to different islands, different states. Like we just, when it comes to hanging, like that's my dog. So, and we had that thing, like just watching movies and hanging out in the house and cooking, like, and those are the things that I used to, when he do something bad, those are the things I think about. I tend to just think about the good times and how I don't want to lose that, but the bad things were overshadowing those. But yeah, the things that used to make me weak is just definitely, us hanging and just loving on each other. Very loving towards each other, very affectionate. That made me weak for him. And also he cooked for me all the time. He was a cooker. He wasn't a chef, but he just, that was his thing. And he cooked for me all the time. So that was another thing that made me weak for him.
Yeah. And it's like the little simplest things. It breaks you at the knee. And I feel like everyone has good in them, and I don't see everything all bad, and it just brings me to when they say, can I say the good outweigh the bad or the bad weigh out the good? In your case, which one is it for you?
The bad definitely outweighed the good, or we would still be together. And I remember when I was watching Why Did I Get Married? I don't know which part it was, but I remember when Janet Jackson was talking about that, like, write down the cons or the good and bad, bad outweigh the good, then, so be it. And my bad outweighed the good, but I still stayed. I'm just like, I was just in the Lulu land.
Wait, not the Lulu land.
It's just like, I just didn't want to believe it, because like, we did have a lot of good times. We got 3 babies out of it. We became parents together. We experienced a lot of things together, and it's really hard to let that stuff go. And you just think like, oh, he's just not going to do it again. He promised me he's not going to do it. He promised me. He promised me. The same thing over and over. And that's why I would never judge this. My situation humbled me, Felicia. And it showed me and taught me not to judge anyone else, because you just never know. You got to walk in my shoes. And when I say walk in my shoes, for a day, walk in my shoes for this 15 years that we've been together. And then you tell me if you was going to leave when you said when you told me to leave. Or you would have did what you said you was going to do.
Yeah. Listen. And I always say things are so much easier said than done. Can't nobody make decisions but you. And even with that, red flags, what are some, like, even, because you have to move forward and you have to move on. What are some of the red flags that will be the, and what are some of those red flags will be the no for you?
Lying, number one. Getting caught in multiple lies at the beginning, that's a automatic no. Not working. If I was to start talking to someone who had children and they wasn't a part of their children's lives, and they wasn't supportive of their children, or they were disrespectful to their parents or to their ex-spouses, red flag. Some definitely narcissistic traits, like everything I say, me too. That's a red flag. You gotta have your own life, your own style, gotta have your own thing going on. So it's I can't think off the top of my head right now every little red flag, but if I see it, trust me, I'm gonna
you're gonna know it. Yeah. And this, listen, let me tell you something. When I tell you don't know a person till you're living with them, you don't know a person till you're living with them. And a person can only be a certain way, but for so long, and then their true self are always gonna come out. And it's like these men these days, it's like they come with the reinforcement of how to be deceitful. It's like they cover it all up, and then when you're knee deep in, you trap. You know what I'm saying?
That's what happened with me. It's like they done got you. They done made you fall in love. They done caught you. They done caught you like a fish.
Yeah.
And then like you hooked, and then you start making excuses for them. Maybe this and maybe that. Oh, wasn't that bad? No, we're not doing that.
And I used to be like, I don't even want to see, it's, how Tyler Perry said, if it quack like a duck, it's a duck. And it's like, you'll see the red flags, and then you're like, I ain't even trying to see them in that light. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to see the good in a person. But it's like, I think we overlook some of the red flags because we love a person, we like a person, and there's something about them that we like. And then they say, opposites attract. So I can say I say, you know what? I know what it feels like to get it wrong. So let me try something else. Let me try to date somebody that I just don't like. Because when you deal with somebody that is your type, let me tell you something. You fall so quick.
It's not.
You fall so
your
quick.
Type, but
it's
not
not easy. That's it. That's it. I'm telling you. And I tested. I'm like, man, everything about this dude, man, it made me weak. I'm talking about this dude can call me, I'm gone. It ain't gonna take 2 minutes, I'm gone. Versus the good guy that's like my type, and it's like, Oh Lord. You know what I'm saying? And then I always say, you have to grow to love a person. And I've personally experienced that. And I think that, when they say opposites attract, I really can relate to that, because I'm like, dating someone that's not your type really, really changed my whole narrative when it can come to dating. I think that it was very beneficial for me to take that route, because I used to be so weak. I'm like, man, I like this guy. He's everything I wanted in a man. Then you fall into the trap of, I want these qualities in him, but maybe he'll change. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I can make him into that, but they're never going to be that. And I fell in that trap a lot of times.
Yes, the fact that you start lusting when it's somebody that's your type, I mean, you would pretty much start lusting after them, and you're gonna miss a lot of red flags, or you're gonna ignore a lot.
You're gonna miss them, yeah.
But if you choose to be with somebody that's not totally your type, but you can still make it work. You won't be so quick to lust. You're gonna take time to get that know. That person got to grow on you. Yeah, I definitely get it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that, at the end of the day, we all have to, we make our own decisions, and we do, but everything is going to be trial and error. We have to learn from something, and that's just it. You have to learn from something, because it took that to get you where you are, you know what I'm saying? And you have to go through these things, and you're never going to be the first, and you won't be the last. So that's always the good part. But it's like, you always going to walk out with a distinctive lesson of your own. And that's what I love the most about when you go through stuff. You see things in a different light. You move differently. You think differently. You just develop into a whole nother different person. And what kind of encouragement could you give someone who's, that's out here trying to figure it all out?
To be honest, it sounds so cliche what I'm about to say, but this is what I've been going by since my official separation, and it's really what I've been trying to go by for probably about the past 2-3 years. You gotta, and this is if you're religious. Now I don't know what to say to a non-religious person, but keep it
right. Listen, you got to have a higher power. That's just it. It might not be God, whoever you call your higher power. You get in contact with them.
ASAP. But yeah, so definitely, you gotta put him first. You gotta put God first, because I feel like I probably went through a lot by just putting my husband first. I put my husband first before a lot of people. And the thing that used to drive me crazy with him is he used to always say, you have no loyalty. You have no loyalty to me. You don't put me first. I'm your husband. He used to always say that. Used to drive me crazy. I'm like, I put you before everybody. Like, I put you before myself. I put you before God. I put you before our kids. Like, and I felt like he was so ungrateful. So to me, like how you say you went batshit crazy. I'm sorry, I mean curse.
Oh, girl, you good?
With your, whoever your ex was. I mean, you gotta keep God first.
Yes,
and
you do.
I'm noticing that by me keeping him first, like my days are so much easier. My mind is so much more at peace, even though things are still, not where I want them to be in life right now. I'm still going through divorce. I'm still going through court stuff and DSS stuff, and like a lot of different personal things I'm going through, but I'm still at ease. That's all, and that's all glory be to God. All glory be to God. Even when I may miss to pray one day, or I may haven't been to church in 3 weeks, but let me tell you something. Every time I pray, my breathing slows down, my mind is at ease, and I can focus. I don't have God on my mind, and I'm paying attention to everything in the world, and I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta get this done. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel the anxiety, stress. So for me, first things first, keep God first. Put him first, and trust him. Have faith. And once you pray about something, leave it. Leave it there. Leave it there. And keep going on with your day. Keep going on. And second off, if you're in an abusive relationship, get out. I'm not gonna say, I would never tell someone married to separate or to get a divorce. I would never tell somebody to leave someone that's married. But if you are being abused, leave, because you got to be true to yourself.
You do. You do.
And especially if you have kids, you got to be good. You have to be good to be a good parent.
That's true.
So, you may love that man, but if that man ain't loving you back correctly and he's not loving your kids back correctly and doing the things that he need to do as a man, as a husband, leave. And it's easier said than done, but find a way.
All day long. Yeah, you gotta find a way. And I think that people are scared to seek help. They try to figure it out. They'll battle and I'm just gonna speak for me. I battle back and forth. Oh, I got a solution. Instead of just going to get help. And I think a lot of that comes with feeling ashamed, trying to be guarded because we don't want to be judged. But it's okay to get help. It's okay to get therapy. It's okay to, you have to let it all out. You cannot hold it all in. And, holding it in, you get bitter. You start looking at stuff differently. You start seeing, you'll start picking out all the negative stuff.
Yeah. Can I cut you off before I missed this thought? You are so right. Like, I'm so glad you said that, because I became miserable. So miserable, Felicia. I was so heartbroken, so depressed, so miserable, and trying to hide it to the world it makes you even more miserable.
It does. And I say all the time, I'm like, listen, it takes too much energy to be mad. It takes too much energy to be mad. I'm just at a place now where I'm not finna disturb my peace. And I'm not finna be mad. I used to go to sleep. Oh, I'm mad for days at a time. Listen, I'm a Virgo. We hold on to stuff. It's like I can hold on to stuff for days, months. I'll give you that silent. Listen, my silent treatment is deadly. Yeah. And it's like, I had to learn to let stuff go, but addressing, I had to learn to address stuff right then. When you address it right then, you can sleep good. When you let it out, you can sleep good. When you're at peace, listen, because I made a decision. I'm not going to sleep mad. I'm not going to sleep with nothing on my chest. I'm not going to sleep knowing that I got this grudge going on. You have to address it then. Yeah. And I always, I'd be like, wherever you show out, you're getting worked out. Because I'm gonna confront it right then and there. And you have to, because when you let people get by, you hear the old people say, you take an inch, you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're gonna do. And that's a truth. Like, that is a powerful statement within itself, because it all goes back to boundaries, standards. Because you have to when you meet a person, you don't know what kind of training they got. You don't know what kind of background they come from. They might think certain things is okay, but you got to train people to love you. You got to train people to give you what you want out of them, and and that in return. So it's like I say, it's just you just have to go back to that setting boundaries, and just to
also, if you pay attention, it will also shoot red flags out if you're dating a narcissist, or realize, it will help you to realize if you're already in a relationship with a narcissist. Because when you, like you said, you got to the point where you want to set it straight right then and there, you need to talk about it. You're not going to go to bed. And that's one of the, if you talk to people who've been abused by narcissists, that's one of the main things that people will probably talk about when you try to confront them with something. It's been many times, I mean hundreds of times, I've tried to come to my husband and say, babe, can we talk? Babe, this is bothering me. Can we talk about this? Can we figure this out? Can we find a way to get through this? Why you want to talk about this now? Oh, you're so dramatic. oh, you always want to talk about this. You know, like it always shutting me down, which, you know, it puts you in a bad place, and you're never working out your problems. They always getting swept under the rug. That is a narcissistic trait. If you, and also it's a person is emotionally unintelligent. When you can't seem to get through a conversation or work something out with somebody, you always getting mad, you know, like that's not good. You have to watch those things.
And you have to, and I think that, you know, even when you're in it, it ain't never too late to correct it. Understand that. And even with me, I was, you know, in my situation, I was in the beginning for about 4 or 5 months. I'm like, you know what? I see you, because I always say you got to play the fool that you ain't fool. And I did that because a person always gonna show their hand, and you have to get to know people. So I let it go. I'm like, okay, all right. See, now you're getting out of hand. And I said, you know what? From this day forward, I'm finna correct you where you stand. And from that day forward, when you lay down that respect, you either gonna fall in line or you gonna get out the way.
That's it.
And that's just all to it. And you just have to put down those standards and put your stamp on it, because you gonna get exactly what you allow. You know what I'm saying? People can only go so far off of what you allow.
And what you to reiterate that, just to talk about standards and boundaries again, like if most of us had standards and boundaries, we wouldn't go through half the stuff that you know, that stops a lot of people in their tracks, just having standards.
Stop them in their tracks.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people where I'm like, you know what? I'm always in the driver's seat of my feelings, because your feelings can get you in all kind of trouble. And it's like, when you learn to put those feelings in the back seat, life will be so much better. And I can't even say it's easy. It's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to know how to play your role. You have to know how to stay in your lane. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you have to get to a point where it's like, you know what? I like you, but I don't like you that much.
Right.
I don't like you that much. Yeah. And it's like, I'm going to choose me. And I tell people, hey, listen, Felicia come first before anything. I don't care nothing about what you talking about. And that's just it. And I think that, you know, putting yourself first is one of the most important things you could ever do in understanding your value as a woman, and a man too, understanding your value, because it ain't just women going through this, men going through it too, because women, we relentless, and we can put, man, listen, we can put hurt on you.
That's they got the muscles, but we got the mouth.
I'm trying to tell you.
One thing I want to say to all the men that may be listening, this is something that my husband used to say to me. You know, you're not loyal, you don't put me first. And I feel that men feel, let me see how I want to put this. My husband used to say that I put my kids first. And let me tell you something. As a mother, you're going to make sure your kids is good. My mother made sure I was good. She made sure my sister was good. I'm going to make sure my kids is good. When you're married, yes, your husband does come first. You know, referencing back to the Bible. But you're not going to come first. And I'm talking to the men. You're not going to come first when you're not handling your responsibility as a husband and as a father. Handling your responsibilities as a husband and a father. Don't expect to be first. Don't expect that wife to put you first. It's not going to happen. Don't get the Lululand.
And this ain't even to cut you off, but you got to earn that respect.
Yes.
You got to earn that. You don't get that title. No. Because they get it twisted. Just because the Bible say the man supposed to be the head. But do you fall in that category?
Yes.
Are you the head of the household material? Right? And they, you know, and it all boils down to dominancy, you know, because we grew up, we've been taught, it's been instilled in us that the man should be doing certain things and the women should be submissive. They get that twisted, and being submissive don't mean I'm bound down at your feet. It's like knowing your role, you win your pants, and I'm wearing mine.
That's it. That's
and that's just
knowing your
it.
role and staying in your lane. And that's like,
Stay
and
in your
speak to the
lane.
women, and to speak to the women, since I spoke to the men. Yes, women that have to know their role. I wanted to be submissive. I used to, when we were in counseling, I used to be begging my husband, like, please, I want to be submissive. I want you to be the leader. But like, a woman has to do her job. If the man is doing his job and he's handling his responsibilities and he's being a good husband and a good wife and taking care of the kids and doing whatever his part is, because it's not always traditional. Whatever y'all agreed upon, if he's doing his part, please do your part. Please do your part. Because I used to want to do my part, but I had to do my part and his part.
Yeah, and see, both of the energies have to match. It can't be one person wanting to do it and the other person don't want to do it. This goes both ways. You know what I'm saying? And I think when we like even with you, saying I want to be submissive, I think that they try that some men, and it's not all of them, they play on things like that. For some reason, I feel like they look at us as weak. We're vulnerable, but it ain't coming from a vulnerable state. It's coming in a state of, baby, I love you and I want us to work. It doesn't say you weak just because you say these things.
Happy. I want to be the leader. I want you to do what a man do, and I want to be the woman. I want to be feminine. I want you to be masculine. That's what I mean. When I was saying I want to be submissive. Like I don't know what kind of world we're living in today.
Listen, it's this the world we live in. You gotta walk with 10 shields of armor on. And it's like you gotta be prepared for anything. And when they say it's a dog eat dog world, it's a dog eat dog world, and every man for himself. And I say that boldly because it's like, you think another person gonna choose you before them? And it's not being selfish, it's common sense. You know what I'm saying? You can't depend on other people. You can't depend on nobody to, have your back, because if you can't even depend on your family, you know what I'm saying? Even with you going through that, you can't just run to anybody for help, because everybody don't understand.
Nope. And everybody is not for you either. A lot of people smiling in your face and, got that knife waiting when you turn. So,
got a knife all in your back when you turn it. And it's sad to say, but I mean, that's just the mentality you have to have, because it's a cold world out here. It's a cold world, a mean world. And when you least expect it, that's when it all comes out and unfolds.
And you also know, as being a Virgo, it's really hard for us to open up and ask for help. That was a big thing for me. I suffered a lot in silence. I suffered a lot. It really wasn't until I felt like I was losing my mind and I started, like things were really, really bad in our home and between our marriage, that I started becoming public with stuff. I started going on social media. I went on social media one time and like blasted all our business on Facebook. And that wasn't even me. People were calling me and texting me and messaging me like, Pumpkin, you okay? That's my nickname. Like, you okay? Like, what's going on? And do you need to talk? If you need anything, let me know. Like, because they know that's not me. Like, really, within the past couple of years, I became very vocal and very outspoken and sharing my stuff. I never used to be that way. Never. Only thing you would see on Facebook about me and my family is outings, parties, certain, you would never see nothing else bad about me up there. So I mean,
yeah, that's just it. And I think, all in a nutshell, I think, we in general, men and women, when you know yourself, when you're connected to your higher self, get to know self. Know what self want, know what self need, know what self limits are, know everything about you. Get to know you, because there's a lot of women and men, they'll go from one relationship to the next.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I've already heard it. You know how many people call me? Yeah, your husband with this woman. Yeah, I saw your husband with this woman. He even had a woman call me, and tell me not to post her man on my page anymore, but he's still my husband, and I'm just thinking to myself, he's weak. He's lost.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because hurt people hurt people.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna come a time where you have to confront your own demons.
Mhm.
And until that day comes, it's nothing nobody can do about it. And you're
Yep.
gonna continue to hurt the next one, hurt the next one, hurt the next one. And they'll be soon telling that same story. You know what I'm saying? And again, a person can only be something else but for so long, then their true identity is gonna come out.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, even though we love, you have to love a person from a distance, and you know and give them that, like, I just feel for you. You know what I'm saying? He needs help. You know what can fix it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, until the day comes where that person can realize their own issues, it's really nothing nobody can do. And it's sad to say that you have to walk away and just put it all behind you, because a memory is gonna always be a memory. That's just what it is. And you
Mhm.
just have to cherish the memories, the good memories, and just come to that place of acceptance. And acceptance is not easy, especially in this type of situation that you're in. And I'm proud of you, and I'm always here for you. I don't care what you need to talk about. I'm here. You can just pick the phone up and call me. I'm always here, and forever will be. And I think that you are going to be very, very successful with your books. Listen, we're claiming number one seller.
Ooh,
We're
amen.
claiming number one seller, because at the end of the day, your intention behind it, and that's just what it is. So, I commend you on taking the step. I commend you on standing in your purpose and pursuing, your braveness. I listen, you're resilient, and that's just what it is. And you carry that title. You
Thank
carry
you.
that title.
Thank
And I appreciate you for coming on, speaking, and make sure everyone that you go to the Delta TV network and watch Doris's episode. And I can promise you, you will be inspired, and you will definitely enjoy everything that she has to say. And until the next time, tell a friend to tell a friend that we're doing great things here on the Felicia Inspires Radio Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.